职场分析的这个第一讲座，这个非常欢迎大家。这个下面的是这样的，我们这个今天请了2位 speaker， 这个我们分别先请这个2位 speaker 这个给大家做个演讲，然后我们在后面留给大家有一个提问的环节，跟大家跟2个 speaker 来互动。最后完了以后呢，我们邀请所有的这个听众和朋友跟大家一起来合个影，或者跟我们 speaker 来合个影。在这个完了以后呢，我们有一个调查表，就是希望大家，我们等一下在接近尾声的时候会跟大家发一个这个 survey form， 就希望大家对我们的这个 seminar 这个 topic 啊或者是方式啊提一个建议，这样我们今后能够改进。好，下面首先我们有请我们这个中华专业人士协会这个现任会长这个曾彬女士来介绍我们中华专业人士协会。现在有请曾彬女士。
Well, dear members and friends, and ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Today I'll talk in English because we have some important guests, and we also have some non-Chinese speaking attendees today. Okay, I know everybody can understand English, right? So we wouldn't have any problem there. Just to also show the respect to our guests as well. Everybody, good afternoon. On this such a beautiful Saturday afternoon, I would like to thank you for you coming and joining us for this wonderful event. We're very honored to have our 2 distinguished guests today, Jerry Dusaidi and Mr. Jerry Dusaidi and Mr. Liu Shen today, and we'll be talking about leadership and professional development, and also how we build a award-winning team in a multicultural environment. Okay. First of all, I also would like to thank UPS for allowing us to use this beautiful facility, and also thank our supporting organizations, Atlanta Chinese IT Association, and also all our media friends like Atlanta168 and Xinbao and Lianhuabao, Shenzhou Shibao, and all the other friends who have been supporting us. Okay. In the meantime, I just want to give a special thanks to our 2 distinguished speakers for spending their time and to share their valuable experience and as well as their time with us this afternoon. Thank you. Now let me just spend a minute to tell you a little bit about ACP. Okay. As you know, ACP stands for Association of Chinese Professionals. We have been in existence for over 20 years, since its founding of 1993. It's a non-political, non-professional professional organization, and we have members from all walks of life, from different industries, and we are the largest talent pool in Georgia, as well as the southeast region of the United States. And our goal is to gather all the professional talents and to serve our community, and also to promote Chinese and business culture and the relationship between U.S. and China. We're doing all those through encouraging the active involvement of our members and also the community. During all those years, we have offered many exciting and interesting programs and trips. This is one of our signature programs, like a professional development and leadership workshop series. So I'm very excited to see everyone here, and I hope today you will enjoy our great speakers and the workshop and what they have what they are going to share with us. Also during all those years, we have provided a platform for our members, for the exchange in business, in education, in science, in technology between U.S. and China. You may heard about, or you may already participated in our trips every year as a talent exchange program with China in different cities. So actually coming up, we have at least probably 4 or 5 different trips going to China into different cities based on your expertise. If you have a project, or if you have something you would like to seek more funding or partnership on the Chinese government side, just feel free to talk to me or Juling, or Xiaohua. We'll be glad to help you to set that up. Okay. Besides that, every year we also host a Spring in Atlanta. That's also another signature, event we have. It's a big celebration of Chinese New Year. That happens during the Chinese New Year time. So as a member, you always get a complimentary ticket, to go to the event. So basically, the membership is almost for free, right? So it's not a it's part of the benefits we provide to our members. So that being said, please allow me now to introduce our first speaker, Jerry. And Jerry's topic today is about leadership and the strategies about how to build a winning team with a different culture. Let me tell you a little bit about Jerry. Jerry had a very successful career with UPS as the president of sales and marketing and business development. He has gained his experience through 11 different assignments in 6 different geographies, both inside and outside of the United States. As the president of UPS International Sales, he oversaw all sales, services, and business development services and activities in UPS International region, which include Canada, Latin America, Asia, Caribbean, and Europe. Besides his professional life, Jerry also serves as an executive vice president and board member of the South Bronx Educational Foundation, a nonprofit organization committed to provide education which serves to the underprivileged children. He serves as a vice president of OnePack, a reverse logistics company which specializes in end-of-lease high-tech equipment returns. He serves also as the chairman of the board of the Magnolia Foundation, Inc., which is also a not-for-profit organization which supports character building and educational services in the Southeast. Another aspect, a unique and interesting aspect of Jerry, we may be able to relate to him better since we have some students here today as well from different universities. After a successful career with UPS, Jerry now went back to become a student again in our Institute of Atlanta in photography program. Okay, so his goal is to pursue his lifelong dream, of becoming a professional photographer. So now, please join me to welcome Jerry.
Well, thanks for such a wonderful introduction, and you should all be very pleased and proud to have such a fine president of ACP in Bing. I don't think you'll find too many people with the commitment that she has, the professionalism that she brings, and the work ethic to everything that she does. So I'm sure that under her guidance, ACP will prosper very, very well. As Bing mentioned, I retired from UPS in March of 2013 after almost 39 years at UPS. I started with the company here in Atlanta as a part-time worker. I was a student at Georgia State University. I was majoring in medical technology. And I had no aspiration whatsoever to join what we now call Big Brown, or others call the Brown Giant. After 1 year as an hourly employee, the company offered me a position in management. And it shocked me so much that they would choose me for a management role that I said yes. I came home. I was not married, living with my parents at the time. Reported to my father that UPS had offered me a management job. And his first question to me was, how much are they going to pay you? And when I told him the answer, his exclamation was, that's more than I make. So that began my career, UPS operations, 1974. And it was a tremendous experience and opportunity throughout all those years. Now, let me just pause here for a second and ask you a question. How many among you today are students? Very good. Very good. So you correct me if I'm wrong. Present students and maybe even recent students. I'm a present student too, by the way, it's being mentioned. I'll get to that later. How many times in university life as a student do you hear the teachings that it's good to change companies, makes the resume strong, keeps one fresh? So not necessarily a great idea to stay with one firm, as I did for 39 years. It's very common to hear that in universities these days. I know I put 3 kids through university and they all told me the same. So is it right or is it not right? And if it's right, then why is this guy who's talking with us today, me, telling you about a career that spanned 4 decades in the same company? Well, I think the answer is that UPS provided many diverse changes in career, my career, and in many, many others over all those years. And some of the responsibilities were so diverse and different that it was literally like joining a different company when taking a new job. I had jobs in operations, I had responsibilities in technology, we lived outside the country, responsible for sales and marketing. You know the UPS stores, the retail organization called the UPS store. I'm sure you've seen those. There's almost 5,000 UPS stores in the United States and Canada. I used to run that organization, so I was a retailer for a few years. And then the last responsibility was traveling the world, helping our people be successful in their endeavors in helping UPS to grow the business. And so I'm very pleased to report to you that that responsibility and that opportunity to travel for so long brought me to China many times. Visited all the major cities and worked with our people all throughout China, and visited all the not so major cities as well. And I must tell you that in the year plus a few months since my retirement, I have not traveled back to China, and I miss it very much. And I plan to absolutely return. Like General MacArthur said, I shall return. Because I really enjoy the people and the vibrance and the energy, and probably more importantly, the intellect that I found almost universally throughout China, throughout the country. So it's a great place for me to have the opportunity to not only visit, but see our people and work with our people. As my retirement became imminent, one of the more important things, my talk is not on how to successfully retire after a long career, although it's something that many, all of you at some point will have to deal with in your lives. As I began to think about that new life, it became very clear to me that there had to be some planning, and that retiring with nothing to do and sitting around was probably not a healthy thing to do intellectually or physically. So looking around at what my interests were and really kind of leveraging so many years of international travel, and I always have my camera with me, I decided to return to university. So I am a student at the Art Institute of Atlanta. I've been a student there in their commercial photography program for 2 years, and I will finish that program as a commercial photographer around about mid-2015. It has been an awesome, awesome experience, and very humbling, because as a senior executive inside an $80 billion company like UPS, you command a certain personality, and I think you know what I mean by that. And when you now are amongst 20-year-old students, as another student, your word is as good as anybody else's in that environment. And my concern was, how will they accept me? What will it be like? Will I have arguments? And in fact, it's been very rewarding. I've become like dad to many of them in so many different ways. So it's been enriching personally and educationally, and I absolutely love what I do in the world of photography. In fact, Bing and I were at an event last night. It's another board that we share responsibilities on, called Atlanta Celebrates Photography, and their annual fundraiser was last night with a couple hundred people, all photographers and people associated to the art. I think the important message here, not that this is what I wanted to speak with you about today, is having a plan, whether you are changing companies or completely changing your role in terms of what you want to be doing. Sometimes that happens. You go from science, as was in my case 40 years ago, to business, and from business to the arts, as I am trying to do now. It's good to have a plan. And I think there is definitely a common denominator in this notion of having a plan related to what my topic is. I was very pleased to hear in Bing's opening remarks to you today, a few minutes ago, about the talent that ACP is responsible for and attracting it within the organization, the talent. Because my topic about building winning teams, what are some of the strategies around building winning teams, is all about identifying talented, high potential individuals. Now, some of you may be thinking, well, this topic is probably more appropriate for management, senior management, and executives. But I'm here to tell you that even about a quarter of you who are students in the group today should find this also interesting and hopefully helpful. Because what it will do is it will give you some insights as to what are the attributes, what are the skills that management seeks to have in its winning team. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in just a second. It's also very helpful for executives, management, senior management, as I'm sure most of you are, because my experience is that companies only prosper when the team also prospers and when the team delivers, because it's motivated by the right people who are part of the right team. Very, very important. And my experience was, years and years ago, to realize that while we spent much time in trying to identify high potential people in order to rotate through different responsibilities, give more responsibility, asked to take on responsibility by being promoted, and sometimes relocating family. It was a stark reality that we didn't have a very good handle, a very good command of what it was we wanted our people to look for, how to identify successful people, but successful people for the future. What should I be looking for now and today in order to be able to identify those people that I'm asking my company to make investments in? Investments in education, in job changes, in expensive relocations, and sometimes all around the world. What should I be looking for? And in the absence of, a legitimate formula, a formula that works, in the absence of that, people are left to their own devices. And what that means is we tend to say, well, I'm pretty successful, so I'll go out and look for people who are just like me. Well, that may or may not be the right way to do it. Now, we like to think of ourselves as extraordinarily successful professionals, business people, scientists, educators, whatever it might be, but we can always improve. So it's better to have an outline of something that is proven. And that's why I say that having an outline, having some advice in this area is important for executives and just as important for those who are hopeful and intending to be such down the road and in the future. So for those of you who are still in school and seeking to start a career someplace, I ask you to take some notes and give some thought to what I have to say to you today. And the perspective, and let me just say as well that it should not be limited only to those who are still in school, but those here today who are just beginning career, just beginning. What should I be thinking about? What are they looking for from me? And I think there are some very solid, specific things for you to evaluate yourselves. What are your strengths? How to capitalize upon those strengths. What weaknesses do I have? How to improve those weaknesses. Being very honest about, do I have weaknesses? Are there things that I would like to be better at or do more of in order to be better at? And what kind of additional training, education, mentoring, coaching should I ask for? And that's a very important aspect to this, which I'm going to come back to in just a minute. Important aspect meaning when to ask for help. And to be humble enough and probably more appropriately courageous enough to ask for help. Many different ways to improve our skills through self-help seminars, workshops, and the like. And I encourage you to seek those out as you deem necessary and as you receive feedback from your bosses, from your management team that's legitimate and action-oriented that will help you to improve your skills later. All this sounds very wonderful, but I want to tell you realistically that I made plenty of mistakes in my career at UPS when it came to developing a winning team. First and biggest mistake was to think that I could do it all myself. Probably my first big promotion, big relocation away. That was my biggest error. my biggest mistake, to believe that I could do everything myself. And it led to much dissatisfaction in my job. And while I was successful in that role, I think it could have been much more successful had I learned to develop team better. And it wasn't until I became responsible for a country and its sales and marketing organization, a whole country, thousands of people, that I realized in my relocation process that there was no way that I could do it by myself. It was physically impossible because of the geographic expanse involved, the languages involved, and the number of people involved. It was a stark reality, a wake-up call, brick in the head. And from that point forward, I tried to develop the principles that I began to use, I'd say, on a full-time basis by the time my career was finished. By the time I retired from UPS, they had given me the nickname of the People Factory. They told me that I was responsible for promoting more UPSers than the founder of the company. Well, I'm not so sure about that, but where I ended up and where you ought to think about, how you ought to think about this is the following. In what way do you make the biggest impact in your organization? In business, in my business that I had to be responsible for, it was growth. How much could we get UPS's business to grow by country, by product, and how could we get our people to participate fully in that growth and meeting those goals? So we had lots of numbers and lots of goaling, lots of customers, lots of deals, lots of negotiations, face-to-face, sign contract, get new business. And then I realized that today's contract is tomorrow's customer who went with someone else, not with me anymore. But as I could find great talent, high potential management people to place into jobs of responsibility, I knew that I could impact UPS for decades because those people would perform at very high levels. So that my conclusion was that was absolutely the best way to take care of UPS, who took care of me and my family for many years. My way of giving back was to find the best and the brightest and to have them take responsibilities within the company. In fact, the person that replaced me last year as president of International Business Development is a person that I found in New York City in 1997 and promoted. And in the end, he walked into the corner office because I found the right person. I found the right guy. And that man is doing far better than I ever dreamed of doing in that role. And that's when you know you've had an impact on a company the size of UPS's. I ask you to think about that. So, let's talk a little bit about the specifics. I've given you sort of background, hopefully why this is important, and now maybe that formula that I mentioned earlier. I'm not going to give you the genesis of it, where it was 20 years ago, this formula for successful people. I'll tell you what I ended up with. And I broke it down to an acronym, abbreviation of 6 words. 2 of the words start with I. 4 of the words start with E. So it's the I's and the E's of highly successful people. The I's and the E's of highly successful people. Now, as I go through these I's and E's, I ask you to give some thought to the validity of my presentation to you today. And in the end, evaluate for yourself. Are these the most important attributes of people who we should be looking for our company, for our school, for our professional business? Are these the ones? And I'm going to tell you before I'm finished with this talk what I did many years ago to do my own evaluation about, is this right? And I wouldn't be here giving this talk to you today at Bing's request if I didn't know it was correct. So let's take these I's and E's of highly successful management people. Let's take that and take a look at what they mean. The first I, integrity. Ask yourself, can I build a company on people who are dishonest? Can I build a company, can I build a team on people who I cannot trust to do the right thing? Will my customers accept that? Will fellow employees accept that? I think the answer to all those questions clearly is no. And so integrity becomes, it's not a mistake as to why this is the first word. Integrity really becomes the cornerstone of the rest of the I and the E's. Because without honest people, trustworthy people that we know will fulfill their obligations time in and time out, day in and day out, without that, there's not much else to build on. So the very first, integrity, uncompromising ethical standards. It's easy to say that, and it may be easy to hear that, because of course we all believe that integrity is important. But think about the times when sometimes we're pushed to maybe behaving in a way that's a little less than what I'm talking about. Crossing not necessarily the line, but living within a gray world where it's a little unclear, right, wrong. And the answer to that is, don't even go there. So uncompromising ethical standards. What's an example of that? In the business that I was responsible for at UPS, I had about 5,000 people under my management. About 3,000 of those were salespeople. And the way our business was divided, salespeople had responsibilities based on the size of the customers that they were calling on. So we had some who had only Apple as a customer, or Foxconn, or Huawei, or ABC Engineering in Doraville. And every one of those people had goals and responsibilities to have certain performance. And when people feel that they can't proceed any further, they can't make the number, they can't be successful against a goal, sometimes there is that temptation to do maybe something that's not 100% ethical because of the pressure involved and the stress involved. All of us have been there. All of us have felt that temptation to compromise. And it never works. It never pays. Never. So again, while it's easy for me to say these words, uncompromising ethical standards, and just as easy for you to hear those words, in reality, there can be those moments when it's not so easy to stay behind that line. So I offer this one point to you as something to think about for those times when you may, or we may, or someone who reports to you they face that kind of temptation, that kind of stress and pressure. Because the right way to deal with that is to find out what the true problems are around lack of success and address the true problems. Because unless that's done, then the condition will just repeat itself over and over and over again. So you can see, the first I, integrity, uncompromising, ethical standards. What's the second I? There are only two of them. Well, the second is very important as well, and it's intellect. Intellect takes many forms. Clearly, it's an educational intellect. It's an intellect that's well developed through higher education and through challenges that we receive in university life, whether in undergrad or graduate school, whether it's MBA programs or other. We know that our intellects can be refined and shaped in that process. It's good to bring that to your career table and to have a very fine, very well done education in the field that you are endeavoring upon. Doesn't stop there though. Because within intellect is also a strong business acumen. A business acumen that's required in almost any field. And it's the understanding of how does this business really work? What changes can I make within this business to help it grow or be more successful? And the only way to answer those questions successfully is to understand it. So, to understand the whole machine, not just one part. This business acumen, strong business acumen. Educational background certainly will help that. And the textbook learning that we get educationally, very important. Much more valuable when combined with practical experience. The real practical experience of what happens within my area of responsibility. How to make a difference. Understanding those principles that cause our organization, whether it's a business or otherwise, to move forward, to be better than it was before I received this responsibility. By helping the team to move forward. So I just remind you that these I's and these E's are attributes. These are things to look for from someone, in someone. Gauge how well developed these are in an individual. It could be yourselves too. We all have to do this soul searching on our own. How can I refine? How can I be stronger in these roles, in these attributes? So those are the two I's: integrity and intellect. Now let's take a look at the four E's. I's and E's, highly successful people. You probably ask, and I may get very close to what the right answer is for the first E. The first E is energy. What does that mean? Coffee? Highly caffeinated drinks all day long. Yes, stay away. I don't see anyone sleeping, so I'm either talking loud enough or you're interested enough. Well, that's one form of energy. You know, the ability to run around in circles sometimes and to look very busy. But another word for this energy and what we want to be looking for from our search for high potential, highly successful people in the future is the passion that they bring. How passionate is someone for the responsibility that they're in? And from time to time, we may find people that look a little less, or behave more appropriately, behave a little less passionate than what we would like to see. Many times it's because they are in a role that they're not comfortable with. They're a scientist and we're asking them to be a salesman. They're a salesman and we're asking them to be a sales manager. Big difference. Ideally we want someone who could be both salesman and sales manager, but not everyone can do that. So it's very important to have an analysis ongoing and receiving input from the people about what is it that we may need to do differently to help here. Sometimes it's a lack of training. Sometimes it's an individual who's been asked to do a certain role and they are too proud or too bashful to say, I need some help. Because I really don't understand what it is you're asking me to do and how to reach the goal that you've laid out for me, that this company has laid out for me. Better to have that in front on the table so that it can be dealt with than behind and hidden away. When that happens, dissatisfaction occurs, poor results occur, and the team can begin to fall apart. So passion is what we're looking for. So first E, what is the energy or the passion that a person brings to their responsibility each day? So if one has that going for them, and we're looking, once again, for future highly successful people, what do you think the next E might be if someone has intellect and someone has integrity and they're passionate about their role? Well, it's energize. It's the ability to rally a team, to get others to follow their lead. If you're passionate about what you do and you can exude that to others, most people will respond to that favorably, as long as it stems from an honest heart. And we already covered that because one of the I's is integrity. And that's an honest heart. So leadership and the ability for one to exhibit leadership skills. And that usually takes the form of someone who's being followed by others. Someone who gives good example, lives good example, others aspire to that. That's the second E. E number 3. In highly successful people who will most likely attain to responsibility of other people, and sometimes many other people, one must be assertive. So the third E is the edge. E-D-G-E. The edge. What does that mean? How do you know when someone has the edge? Well, one has the edge when they are able to make, in very simple terms, with very difficult, day-to-day, yes or no decisions. We'll do this, but not that. We'll go there, but not here. We'll follow this, but not that protocol. Our strategy will be this because it will change from that. As opposed to the opposite. It's important, I think, to hear the opposite. Sometimes giving a talk like this on someone or two folks who are listening to someone talk about attributes for success, it's difficult to listen to the negatives, but sometimes the negative accentuates the positive if both can be understood at the same time. So what you would like to see your people avoid is procrastination, is the inability or putting off of the decision, from one day to the next or never making a decision. And another pitfall is to rely too much on consensus management. Everyone are voting. Well, if you have 8 people and it's 4 and 4, you could potentially never make a decision because, well, you know, it's some people want to do it, some people don't. Highly successful people who possess the edge are able to take in all of the inputs. And even though half of the inputs may be exactly opposite the other half, they're able to take it all, distill it, and make a decision. And then that leader expects the team to follow. You're free to have your opinion. I want to hear your views. But once we decide it's this way, not that way, then the whole team is expected to go that way. The leader must be able to do that. Well, how is that possible? Well, if you've got the energy, and if you can energize, and you're able to make a decision, those people are probably going to follow your lead. Very important. The ability to make the tough yes-no decisions. Assertiveness. Saying it another way. So far we have spoken about 5. 2 E's, 2 I's, 3 E's. Right? There's 1 left. Now the last one is almost a summation of the previous 5. Because if an individual carries the first 5, integrity, intellect, energy, energize, edge, the last E should follow those 5. And it is execute. The ability to make goals, the ability to make performance. Now, if you have all the others, and you're leading a team of people, it should be a foregone conclusion that E number 6 happens. And when E number 6 doesn't happen, or doesn't happen to the extent or the degree to which you need, then it's a matter of evaluating the others. Because there's usually someone within the team that's lacking in one of those areas. So my experience with this, on both sides of the table, as one responsible for managing many, and for one responsible for talking with those who are just learning, my experience is that managers who know this can then use this to identify those who are trying to add to the business, to the profession, to the school, in order to move forward with it. So how is it used? How is this used? Well, it's very pragmatically. Let me tell you the way not to use it, and then I'll spend more time telling you how to use it. It's not good enough to write a memo. If you believe what I'm saying to you today, define I's and E's and say, begin using this effective immediately. Because most people will look at that and say, my way is better. I like to think about finding people who are more like me. I don't know about I's and E's. I'll stay away from it. I'll ignore the memo. Put it into practice. And put it into practice on both sides of the table. Right? One of the hallmarks, I think, of success at UPS, and what I try to bring to the other organizations that I'm involved with now, is the evaluation of our talent.